Hello, this is Corey again. I'm testing out a different recording method, hopefully to make things look a little bit better, and who knows, maybe it'll sound better, maybe it'll all be terrible. We'll find out. Anyway, as you'll recall, last time we set up a SharePoint server, and then if we click over here and log back in, because it might or might not have actually been a whole bunch of days uh, since we looked at it. Whoops. Control Alt Insert. Control Home. What is the command for that? Control Alt. Oh, I see what happened. Ha ha ha. Anyway, we're here on our SharePoint server and it has denied us access. And fixing this is easier than not. We just need to go into all things. We need to look for the SharePoint server stuff. Central administration. We're probably going to want that, so we'll just pin it to our start. And in here, what we need to do is make my domain administrator account the administrator for SharePoint. This will then let us do some other interesting things, mainly use SharePoint. Oh yeah, recording is being done courtesy of PowerPoint 2016. Good to know that you can do that. Okay, we're back. This took a while. This is going to complain, probably because we haven't run any updates, but that's fine. The thing that we want to go look for is, let's see, Farm Administrator Group. We want to actually look for Manage Web Applications. I'm pretty sure, honestly, it's been almost a month since I last did this. Then we want to look at SharePoint 80, and if we go to user permissions, what it should do is let us change and or add a site collection administrator. It looks like that's not what it's going to do. I always forget if this is something where we needed to actually go and just delete the site and make a new one. Probably should have written down what I did last time. Farm Administrators Group? Perhaps it was here that I needed to add Standard Web Core W. Yep, share. Fingers crossed. Now, what that will do is, nope. It's not under, is it under application management? Oh, it's under site collections. Ha ha ha. Okay. View all, yeah, that's what you do. You like view the site collection and then you edit the permissions. I should probably remove myself from, let's see. Oh, here we go, primary administrator. What we just want to do is like click OK here. Oh, change site collection administrators. It's right there. Duh. Okay, so now what this will eventually do, we have to try again. This is no longer denied. Yes, okay. We can choose from a number of different templates. I usually go with Team Site. It's a pretty good general starting point. Here, if we go to collaboration, community site, I always forget exactly what this does. There's some special things that some of these do, and I'll end up with some subsites on some of them, like I'll end with a blog and probably a project site and a community site. And there is a My Sites host already. I'll need to see if I need to do anything else with that. So we're just going to say team site and OK. For reference, this is the old SharePoint 2010 site. I've got some announcements and some links and a picture of a bus, and eventually I'm going to move most of that over to this new server. And the way that I think I'm going to do it with SharePoint is I'm going to manually just build up the new server because my old SharePoint instance is unhappy. It shouldn't take too long, but I bet if we go over to the server, it's going to be unhappy with us. Still using about 5 gigs of RAM. It's a lot better than I thought it would. Well, this will eventually show us our main site, and once it does, I will start a new segment. Okay, perfect. Well, we're not quite at the home site yet. It's asking us to create groups or use existing groups for our SharePoint website. I actually don't think that we have any groups at all, so I'm going to select wait. Oh, I see. It's saying that home members is the existing group. Okay, good enough. It creates 3 groups. The first is members, the second is contributors, and the third is owners. Yep, members can read only. Visitors can read only. That's right, members can read and write. Owners have full control. There's a little bit of a gradient there. Here we're going to click on OK. There's a few different ways to structure this whole thing, and I don't know exactly how much content I'm going to put in this home page compared to other places. Like in my old SharePoint site, if we go to sign in and look at the all site content, the way it's kind of structured is that there's some documents up here on a pages section, and the pages section really, oh, I remember, that's one of the things that's broken. What's actually in here is site pages, and then you've got things like Narvik, the page about the machine that I'm using. I might structure that a little bit differently, but in here, this is SharePoint 2013, and it starts out pretty basic. You can add stuff, that's what most of this stuff is for, and it just starts with like a news feed and then a place to put documents, which is pretty neat actually. In SharePoint 2013, you can, let's see what I've got in terms of documents. You can just kind of put whatever you want in here. Gosh, I don't have any real like documents. Well, let's just put this access database in here, and it just uploads it like that. Really neat. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna cancel this for now. One thing that I know for sure that I want to be in the SharePoint site is an announcements list. Let's take a look at my old site just to see what that'll end up looking like. I haven't updated in a while, but ideally what I would put here is things like service announcements, updates to the actual service. Keep in mind, this whole thing is replacing a single server with eventually several servers that are going to have different services on them. So, tect is one server that's going to have, right now it's a virtual server that has SharePoint, Exchange, file servers, etc. on it. In the future, I'm going to have a SharePoint server, an Exchange server, a file server, and so on. Nevertheless, the SharePoint server is still going to be the actual core place where people go for information. So let's go back up to, I think if we go to home, we just want to add a list library or other thing. And the social thing's pretty neat. I need to figure out what to do with that. I might kind of make a social site as a subsite of the whole thing and do like a forum and a little Twitter thing. In here though, we want to use, let's see, the particular one, announcements. And I don't think that there's a whole lot of options. In here, one of the things I'm going to be really careful about is when I name things, because when you name things, that becomes its URL. So announcements here, capital A, that's fine, we can hit create. But if this was like a particular document library, I would want to name it something with, maybe lowercase letters, underscores, instead of spaces, and so on, and then go back and edit the name later to change the actual display name. So yeah, here announcements has been created, and it's just going to show us what's in the site. And one of the things I always like to do every time I create something is go over here to edit links and just drag and drop wherever I want anything to be. And announcements I kind of want to be like the second next thing under home. It's before documents, and that way it won't get lost eventually as we add more things. Recent is gonna not fill up, but things will drop off. So let's go to announcements and let's just make a new announcement. Let's see, I'm going to type a message. Is the new the tect hardware. This I might eventually come in and make one of these a link. Like actually we can do it right now. We can go get let's just tect, right? And even though this is not going to be on the same server, we can Control K, which brings up a link box, or it should anyway. Yeah, it'll let us select something that's actually really neat, or we can just paste that in. And then hit save. I don't know why this is going so slow. It might still need more RAM. So if we go home, where's our announcements? Well, we have to add them to the page. So we want to go to page up here and hit edit. Yeah, edit page. And in here, we want to go to insert and app part. And we're just going to choose announcements here, add, and I think it just chose this particular spot. We can actually go like, I think we can drag this around, yep, so that it shows up above the site feed, and that way this getting started stuff will eventually, change this to a blurb or whatever. Keep in mind over here I've just got a 2-column layout all the way up. I might or might not retain that same design. Anyway, here if we click on save, it'll actually show us our announcements. And we can see it's not going to show the actual text. I don't know if I probably customized this to make that happen. I'll do that later over here, but it's just going to say welcome to Wellsworth. And if we click on this, it's going to show the text just like we did. And in here we'll see, this is ID number 1 at the front. I don't know why SharePoint does this, but we can basically get rid of all of that URL and just ID equals 1 for this. Pretty nice. We're going to close out of that now, and I'm going to end this for a moment. Okay, one of the things I personally use SharePoint for right now is a document library. And I have this site called CoreyW, and in my existing server, I'm the only one who has permissions for it. It's got a task list, and I list the members even though, like, literally, look, it's me. I'm the only one. I've got 2 different libraries. The first is documents, the second is blog entries, and I've got a task list, a links list, and I've got these spreadsheets essentially that I wanted to be able to access on any computer of inventory. First is useful boxes, and the second, which I'm not going to click on, is software licenses, and I'm just using them for tracking. Oh, media. I have media as well. And you can see I've sort of gone through different phases in terms of my thoughts on naming things. I could rename useful boxes to make sense, but whatever. This is like rewritable computer media, and I do this for a lot of different things: DVDs, Blu-rays, micro SDHC cards. Got some new SDHC cards that I actually need to bring into the system, but whatever. I want to move some of this stuff over to the new server, but I don't, because of the way this server is behaving, I don't want to do a back-end migration. This is, you're going to laugh, this is super simple. So let's go over here and go to My Sites, which is a thing that didn't even exist, that I don't have in SharePoint 10 Foundation. If I remember correctly, the URL was my, and I can edit that as a link somewhere, like I can say home and then add my SharePoint, and what it's going to do is create my site. Okay, and you can see we're here. It's basically a personalized space. You can upload a picture, and that picture usually actually just goes into Active Directory, so it might become your login picture on your PC. This PC is not an Active Directory, but it would if it were, and in a Microsoft Exchange where those pictures are. You can use it to look at other people on the server. Right now there aren't any. I might have to get somebody else to look at other things. Anyway, if we go back to the top part of my here, while we're waiting for this, I'm going to set up 1/2 this transfer. Let's just say that I want to move all these blog entries over. If I just go to Library and open with Explorer, it asks for my password, and they just show up in a Windows Explorer window, which is a nice thing about doing it on Windows, doing this part on Windows at least, is that you can easily get everything out. And I showed earlier just copying a file in through the web browser. Of course, there's a slightly faster way. Do I have to like make a subsite or something? Perhaps it's actually not ready. It does say we're almost ready and not here's your site. In 2010, what it was you would make your own team site and you would be the only person on the team. Um, Maybe we'll fill in some information so that everybody knows that we are in fact the system administrator. Perhaps I'll come back to this. Oh, see, this is where you put in the picture. Tect. I think it's semicolons here. Let's see, Arizona, and I work at a public. Okay, that's enough for there. Really, everybody who uses this thing knows me, knows more than that about me. Tect, point, Exchange, Outlook. Let's just say Word. What else? Windows 10, right? And what that should do, yep, all of these things and whatever. Save all and close. Don't worry if you don't see them right away. So it's probably like catching up. I don't believe any of this actually backfills into Active Directory. People have to come look at you in SharePoint. Oh, here we go. Let's see, apps task. Okay, so it's actually gotten some things done in that time. So we might be able to go to OneDrive now. And, oh, here we go. I don't know if there's a way for you to have more than one library. I'll have to look at that, but we can open this with Explorer as well. Web, Core W, password, whoops. There we go. And here's our documents library. I can just kind of drop in a few things. We don't have to like copy my whole library, especially because I'm going to do this over. It'll take a while. Once this finishes, though, the really exciting thing will happen. These files will all be listed in here, and I'll be able to use them from this server the way that I currently do from my other server. In fact, one of them has already copied. Maybe it's listed now. Yep, Windows 10, cheap Unix, Fistula, there they are. Neat. I'll need to look and see about having more than one library though, because that's a functionality that I used based on the way that I used to have this thing set up. It might be a sites thing, it might be a matter of going into my thing and creating like a subsite instead of this. We'll see. Okay, now that we've got a few things set up here on the site, I do just want to do one more thing, and that's set some permissions. There are other users on the server, and I just want to get them access. So we're going to go into this Tools menu and then into Site Settings, and we're going to look at People and Groups. Here, oh, I see. It lists groups out on the left, and we start off with home members, and I'm just going to add users, and I've got a few people in mind. We're going to do Calvin, Lando, and Fink. And we're just they're gonna be the people who can contribute to the home page, and we're just gonna go to home visitors, and I'm gonna make it so that everybody on the domain can look at this, and we're just going to type in this thing here, everyone. Share, and that's it. So now Calvin's going to be able to come here and, post announcements and work on the site as well, which will be good. So that's going to happen, and you'll probably see a little bit more about that next time.